everyone, welcome to this video. So this is a little bit of a different video for this channel. If you've seen any of our previous videos, then you'll know our usual content is all around our renovation, home updates, things like that. But I have quite recently achieved my diploma in interior design and I really want to put it to use and make some more videos around interior design on this channel to help anybody else out there that might be struggling with certain bits of their homes or anything like that. So the course that I did was with the Interior Design Institute and it was a year-long course. And I basically decided to do the course firstly because I was just interested. After we bought our first house, I really started to feel quite passionate about interiors and it was really something that I was just so interested in and I really wanted to learn more about. And the second reason was because we knew that we wanted to buy this specific house that we're in now and renovate it basically. At the time that I signed up to do the interior design course, we didn't know that we were moving. This house wasn't up for sale. It never actually went up for sale. We bought it privately, but we knew that we wanted it. And in my head I just thought, well, if I do this interior design course and we do end up moving and doing this big renovation, then it will just give me the skills and the knowledge to really get it right in this house. And obviously that is what ended up happening. We did move, we are renovating, and I'm so glad that I invested the time and the money into doing the interior design course. So in this video I thought I would give you my sort of top 5 interior design tips, things that you can follow when you're designing your house. Maybe you're buying your first home or moving house, doing a renovation, maybe it's just redecorating, getting some new bits of furniture, changing up the colour scheme, anything like that. Hopefully these tips will just help you to get that interior designed look in your home if that's what you're going for. So tip number 1 is to identify your own personal interior design style, which I think is the most important thing that you need to do before you do anything else. When we moved into our first house, it was a new build and I was just so lost with what to do with all of these different rooms, all this space that I had to put my own stamp on, our own stamp on. And don't get me wrong, I had fun while I was doing it. It wasn't a bad experience, but I basically did what you shouldn't do and decided to basically do a different style in each room because I liked a little bit of everything. I wasn't really that sure, and I ended up with sort of a bit of a modern farmhouse style in the living room, lots of warm tones, lots of wood, shaker style cabinetry. We had brass and gold accents, and then in the kitchen that was like sort of industrial style. We had brick wallpaper, we had a high gloss dining table, chrome accents, a little bit more sort of modern. And don't get me wrong, each room looked nice, but as my interior design style evolved and I actually started to realise what it is that I liked, I obviously just then wanted to change everything. So I'm going to pop some different interior design styles on the screen now, and what I would suggest is basically spending some time researching different styles. Pinterest is a really good one to use, or even just Instagram, Google. Just look at different interior design styles. There might be some on the screen now that you didn't even know existed, so do a little bit of research, have a look and see what catches your eye, what draws you in, and just go with it. Look into that style, look at it in different rooms. Give yourself a little bit of time to probably figure out what it is that you love and how you want your house to look. Once you have found your preferred interior design style, you're going to want to implement this in every room. Avoid making the mistake that we made and doing a little bit of something different in every room. It just makes each room in the house feel a little bit detached, and you want the house to flow and feel cohesive from one room to the next. but following the same interior design style in each room doesn't mean doing each room exactly the same. There's so many different things that you can do that fit into each style. It doesn't mean that every room just has to look exactly the same. Get creative with it, but just make sure that there's elements of that style that show in each room and that style is followed throughout the house. So tip number 2 follows on quite nicely from tip number 1, and again this is another mistake that we made in our first house, and that is to follow the same colour palette throughout the whole house as well. Again, that doesn't mean have exactly the same colours in every room, the same colours on the walls, the same colour furniture, the same colour decor. It's more the colour palette. So avoid having very cool tones in one room, like greys, blues, blacks, stark whites, and then in another room having very warm tones, lots of creams, beiges, gold, brass accents, lots of wood, natural oak, things like that. That is another thing that will make the house feel less cohesive, less considered, and just a little bit confusing going from one room to the next if they are completely different styles and colours and tones and everything. It just sort of breaks up the rhythm that you want to feel when you're walking through the house. Obviously, like I said, you can have different colours in different rooms. That doesn't mean that you have to just stick to exactly the same colour in every room, but colour is a really complex part of interior design, and I can go into a lot more detail on colour if anybody would want me to do that. Again, something that we did in our old house was we wanted to go with a different colour in every room, so we just decided to do the living room as purple and the bedroom was burnt orange and the kitchen was blue, and we basically just dotted a couple of things in the room, and we also tried to match the colour of accessories. So the rug matched the cushions, and then we try and get curtains that all matched, and it just wasn't good. So tip number 3 is more around space planning, the size of furniture, things like that. A really easy and common mistake to make is to buy furniture that is too big or too small. I would say it's more common to buy furniture that is too big, because no matter how much you do the measurements and you think, yeah, that's perfect, that'll fit in, when that furniture is actually in the room, it looks so much bigger than what you expected. It takes up a lot more space. The room ends up feeling a lot smaller than you expected. Again, this is another mistake we made in our old house with our sofa. We bought a corner sofa and a love seat. I really wanted to maximise the amount of seats that we had in the living room, but we couldn't quite fit a 2-seater, and a chair just seemed a little bit pointless, so we managed to get a love seat in. However, we originally wanted it to go on an angle in the corner and it just did not fit. Because the arms of our sofa went out, we couldn't get the sofa and the love seat where we wanted them. Luckily, we could just twist the love seat and we had it directly under the window, and it actually probably ended up looking better that way. But that was a mistake that we made straight away. As soon as they delivered the sofa, I thought, oh dear. And even the delivery man said you probably could have got away with just a chair instead of the love seat. But we live and we learn. A good thing that you can do that is really inexpensive, pretty self-explanatory, is to get some masking tape or map out the furniture that you're planning on putting in the room. Just put the tape on the floor to the dimensions, and it'll just give you a quick idea of how far things will stick out, how much space it'll take up, how much of a walkway you've got maybe, so things like that. That is just a really quick and easy way to get an idea of how big this furniture is going to be in your room. Another thing that you can do that I did a lot in our old house and when we were moving into this house was using free online floor planning websites or apps or anything like that. The one that I used to use was called Floor Planner. I haven't used it for quite a while, but it basically just meant that you could map out your room in 2D to your measurements and add in furniture to your dimensions, and straight away you've got a 2D visual there of the room and the furniture, where you want to put it. You can move things around, try different options. There's also a 3D option, so you can press a button and it'll actually zoom into that room as if you're stood in it, and you can move the screen around. You can have a look at the floor space, you can have a look at the height of the furniture, the size of the furniture, and that just gives you a really good, really accurate insight into what your space is really going to look like. Tip number 4 is to pay attention to the small details, which actually aren't that small. They are very important part of bringing the whole design together. And this is things such as decorative items, wall art, curtains, rugs, even light switches, plug sockets, things like that. Spending some time really thinking about all of those things will definitely pay off in the long run. Again, this is something that I could go into a lot more detail on each thing that I've just mentioned, but another common mistake that I see a lot is wall art that is too small. Obviously you don't want it to go the other way and have big overpowering pieces of art on the walls, but I see it more often that people go too small, and it basically just makes the whole space seem smaller. You actually want to go a little bit bigger. If you're stuck between this size, or if you've got the space, try and fill it a little bit more, and it will actually make the space seem bigger. So Nelson has decided to come and join us for tip number 5. So this is the last tip that I'm going to share with you today, and this tip is basically just to slow down. Don't be impulsive, don't be impatient. It's much easier said than done, because I am both of those things when it comes to interiors and wanting things done and having an idea in my head, and I just want to see it come to life. But trust me, if you just take the time, properly do your research, and yeah, just slow down and just take your time, even if that means living with a room that you really don't like for another few weeks or a couple of months. It will be worth it, because I promise impulsive decisions always end up costing more money. So don't rush, enjoy the process, take your time and try and get it right first time. So that is my top 5 interior design tips for this video. I really hope you've enjoyed watching, and I hope these tips will be useful, and I will see you in the next video.